Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today I have a discussion and it's based on the Wonder Woman game reveal that we got at the Video Game Awards. So what I want to do is I want to just informally just speak on some of the things that I've gleaned from comments, from forums, regarding what I think players would love to see in this Wonder Woman game. Now, before I go in any further, if you enjoy the content, feel free to hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button as well, because it really does help the channel jump forward. And you can share this video with people on different platforms as well. That'll really help the channel as well. All right, let's go into the content and let's start looking at exactly what it is that I'm about to yap about. So this game basically had a very short reveal, and I'm already here talking about things fans will love to see. I mean, isn't that what we do here on YouTube? And so forgive me as I, take the, just the liberty to do this, because I believe that this is something that, a lot of people would, love to see, in my opinion, because I've been looking at these comments. I've been looking at a lot of the different reactions, and I think this character is a character that has a really solid fan base, and that's quite exciting because I'm also sort of a fan of Wonder Woman based on just my Justice League, fandom. I like the Justice League, so every member there is just really cool in my opinion. All right, let's look at the trailer, because I think this is going to inform our video, because already in the trailer, we see that, Monolith has revealed not just one, but two characters. Now, you may wonder, like, two characters? Well, duh, her mom is here talking to her. So Hippolyta is already been revealed. And I think this is a very critical part of this entire reveal trailer, because Wonder Woman's identity in terms of the storytelling, in terms of the way that she's been depicted in the literature, in the animated series, and even in some of the video games, there's a huge emphasis on her upbringings in terms of her origins. And I think the way this game is set up, they want to explore her origins and do justice to the source material in terms of an origin story. Now, this is why I think Hippolyta is in this particular reveal trailer. She's basically telling her daughter, you need to form bonds, you need to take out enemies, and there seems to be this invitation to Themyscira, which brings us to the first thing that I think players will love to see, which is a Themyscira depicted in a beautiful world setting. Now, this could be an open world, or this could be a partial open world. Game design and game development is based on how a story is written. And so if it's based in Themyscira, then you're going to see a controlled open world of some kind. I don't want the Assassin's Creed style vibe, which is too much game, but something like they've done in, say, their Middle-earth games. Perhaps you can visit different regions within the planet, or maybe they could even have some sort of an emphasis of some Earth and some, Themyscira emphasis. Basically, when I say Earth, I'm talking about pretty much the outside world of Themyscira, because Themyscira is hidden in Earth, in the mythos anyways. And so I think this is something that, players would love to see being depicted in a solid way. Now, I'm saying this because this game is potentially a current gen, release. So it might be seeing it on Xbox Series X and Series S and the PlayStation 5. And these consoles are way more powerful and are able to do some really beautiful rendering of an open world. For some of you who don't know, you may have, or some of you who do know, you may have seen the Matrix tech demo on the new consoles, and you can't tell me that that was not impressive. Now, I'm not saying Monolith is going to be using the Unreal Engine 5. It doesn't really matter what engine they're using. I think rendering is where it's at. They render textures, if they render details very well, you're going to enjoy those visuals in terms of a game like that. Now, what else do fans, want, or what else are fans basically discussing in these forums and are talking about wanting to see? I think so far, a lot of people have been talking about the potential of this game being set heavily with the Greek mythos. And that's basically the entire mythology of how Wonder Woman and, her planet and her homeland, I guess I shouldn't say planet. It's almost hard not to say it's a planet on its own, because it's just so outside of everything. But that island where she's from, the Amazons and all that, it's hard not to want to include, all of the Greek mythology that comes with her storyline. I mean, it's insane to not think about that. And I think that opens the door for a lot of conversation, because if you kind of consider and say, okay, what all is going on? You see in the story of Wonder Woman, all of these characters like Zeus and Ares and, Hera and all of that. And I think this is something that people would love to see, because we have seen Greek mythology being depicted in video games in the past, and they've been treated very well. And I think Monolith is going to do a good job in treating, their story and their plots very well. They've done a good job in making sure that, we understand that they're very good at the storytelling and staying as true as possible to the source material. And so you go ahead and you think about it and you say, okay, what would this imply? Well, I think this implies a whole lot, because it then opens the door for the other conversation of gameplay. Because with the Greek mythos, you can go back and say, okay, so how is she going to be, dealing with enemies on Themyscira? What kinds of enemies is she going to be dealing with? And that also opens the potential for all kinds of different Greek mythological monsters and characters that she can be fighting with. And then this also even brings in the conversation of combat, which is, again, something that's really cool, because if they follow this strategy, if they follow this, linear thinking in terms of how this all works, then you're able to kind of see Wonder Woman pretty much depicted in a way that really helps us establish the character from a story perspective and a gameplay perspective. Now, here are some preferences of mine, and these are not general, comments that I've seen around and things I would love to see, is that I would love to see that this story be original and authentic to Diana herself. You see, for the longest time, when you take a look at, the way they've told her story, when you take a look at the way she's been depicted in video games, Diana has basically lived in the shadow of the Justice League. I like the Justice League. In fact, I'm a huge fan of the Justice League. That's why I do like the fact that we're getting a Wonder Woman game, because I believe it opens the door to potential, games for other superheroes, potentially from other studios as well. And I say potentially because nobody knows what DC can do or is about sometimes. And so when you kind of think about all of this, I would love for Diana to have her own story, and I think Themyscira is a wonderful location to set the character. Because if you think about, say, Batman had the opportunity for him to be able to get his own world setting. So think about what Rocksteady did. They started out Batman with the Arkham Asylum game, a small controlled environment, building the character, building the villains, building, just basically the story and the plot line that this character was basically going to carry from Arkham Asylum all the way through Arkham Knight. And in Arkham City, they expanded a little bit, and they allowed for just Batman himself to be the center or the focal point of these particular games. It wasn't until Arkham Knight that they started to add tidbits and Easter eggs and a few more, I would say clues that there's a potential that they're going to, include Superman or, the Green Arrow or whatever Easter eggs it was that they were introducing. I mean, even if they may have introduced it in earlier games, I think they wanted to make sure that Batman was the focus of all those games and stories that they were telling. I think the same needs to be true for Diana herself. At this stage, I think it might be too early to start introducing a lot of the other Justice League characters, unless it's something that they want to tease and say, okay, we're going straight from Themyscira into the Justice League, storyline potentially. Then that's something that I feel could be manageable in my opinion. But I really do want for this game to be its own unique thing. As much as there are other, DC characters that are being, worked on by these other studios, it'll be nice for us to see multiple universes being created and being, developed in terms of video game storytelling. I think Spider-Man right now is somewhat enjoying his, even though in the Marvel Avengers game, he just basically arrived too late, in my opinion anyways, and was not even put in the game in a fair way because it's only a PlayStation exclusive. So a lot of other people are not going to be playing Spider-Man. So it just necessarily didn't make an impact. But in this case, because DC doesn't have these exclusivities, I think it will help for players to be able to enjoy the fact that this one character is the central and the focal point. And then potentially in a second or a third game, they can introduce the Injustice and Justice League emphasis, or even start working on other characters. I think this is exactly what it is that will really allow for Monolith to have at least a 4 or 5 game sequence in terms of what it is that they've started right now. And if they decide not to do that, if they decide they want to center this particular franchise on just Wonder Woman herself, then there's nothing wrong with that. This is one of the more classic DC characters, and I think they're actually worth it in that sense. But nonetheless, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you want to see from this particular Wonder Woman game? Do you think it's just enough for her to be set in this, Themyscira world? Do you think there needs to be more that, Monolith brings forth, at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going on. We'd have to wait and see how it all works out, because it's something that I strongly believe that we can benefit from if they do a good job. So all we have to do is just keep our ears to the ground and hope that, we start getting more and more updates to give us a clearer picture of what this game is going to be when it releases. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll talk soon. Peace out.